Hello everybody, and welcome to our supplier approval training. So, why do we need to approve our suppliers? The common goal is to provide safe quality foods to our consumers, and some certification bodies require to have an effective supplier approval program in place, for example, GFSI standards, and FSMA. And why is a supplier approval program important? Well, because there are potential risks in a food supply chain, and the bigger the supply chain, the bigger the risk. So a supplier approval program will help to identify the risks at each step and to have sufficient controls to mitigate hazards. And what are those risks? There are some concerns with continuous increasing of food recalls. There are deficient food recalls programs. There is an increasing dependence on the supply chain to source ingredients from other countries. There are high costs related to food fraud, among other reasons. So, let's go ahead and see what is a typical supplier approval program. First, we need to collect data from the supplier. What data would that be? Essentially, maybe it is a questionnaire, certificates that show the product it's maybe organic or kosher, for example, or if the supplier is GFSI certified, statements such allergen statements, HACCP plans, food safety records, certificates of analysis, country of origin, or any other document you consider will support standards you have in place. Then, you will review all data collected, and verify there is no discrepancies or corrections to be made that can give the supplier the opportunity to collaborate with them. Also, a risk assessment needs to be performed. You can build your risk assessment model and use a criteria to rate the suppliers and evaluate the risk value within the supply chain. You can evaluate the data collected to determine how truthful could a supplier be. If we determine there are risks or hazards with a supplier, we will need to determine the controls to mitigate those hazards. After the risk assessment, you will decide if approve or not a supplier. If approved, we need to do a continue monitoring. Repeat, repeat, and repeat. Note that frequency of monitoring will depend on the program you establish. It could be 6 months, a year, or 2 years, for example. Also, during the risk assessment you might also have determined that to control the supplier, this might need to be audited as part of the continue monitoring and controlling the hazards. Auditing suppliers will help to collect evidence, and further assess the supplier against global food standards. Congratulations! You have now concluded our supplier approval training. Thank you, and if you enjoyed our video, please give us a like and subscribe to our channel to check for the upcoming videos.